What I'm going to show you is how to set up Samba on Linux. The advantage of this is to make a small server or to make a Linux computer to be able to share files with a Windows computer. Most of the time what I use it for is from Linux computer to Linux computer. But we're going to take a look at Windows. Windows is not set up to do SMB, which is what Samba is. SMB stands for Server Message Block Protocol. So the first thing that you need to do is to go down here, type in optional features as one word. So if you just optional, you're not going to get anywhere. Scroll down to SMB. This is just a matter of clicking these. Click the plus here and you get these here. These are not all clicked. So you need to click them. And then once you click them, hit OK and set that up. You may have to reboot the computer. This is all you really need to do at this point. Activate SMB on Windows. Now in the Linux machine, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the terminal and make this a little bit bigger. Go to root, sudo, put in the password, and then we're going to install Samba. Samba is not on this computer at this point. Apt install Samba. When we do an install, we can go -y, and it'll come to a point where it asks the question yes or no, and it'll automatically answer it for you. So if we don't put this in, we'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, here's the Y. Put Y in. This is the -y. I edited out part of this installation to cut the video a little bit. And Samba's at the end of the installation. So then we type service SMBD status Okay, what you can see right here in the green, it says active. Samba should be able to be communicated with, except we haven't set the rest of it up. So we hit Q, we get out of it. And then if we hit the up arrow, we can go stop. And then we hit the up arrow again. We go to the previous command that we did, and then status. And we notice this time it's inactive. We hit Q to get out of the program that we're running to show us the status of Samba. Restart it. And it's active again. The next thing we're going to take a look at is we're going to take a look at Firewall. Firewall is UFW status. And it shows it active. The rule, in this case, we're going to add a rule for Samba. And that rule is going to let us be able to transfer files back and forth. Without this rule, Samba won't work. So we go UFW, allow, and then we're going to put in Samba. It adds two rules. Do the up arrow twice here. And now we can see that instead of saying just active, it says active, but it also shows us the two rules that we allowed. It doesn't just say active this time, but it shows us the two rules that we just put in. And these two rules allow Samba to go through the firewall. The next thing that we're going to do is we're in root here. We really don't want to be in root. Into the file manager, create ourselves a directory right here. We'll call it guest. We're going to use this directory as our share. Guest is going to be so that anybody can get in and out of it. So we go back to our terminal. We're going to go into the Samba directory. ls is list. We have 3 files. Now I'm going to use an editor that's Nano, and Nano has a backup feature. But instead of relying on Nano's backup feature, we're going to make a backup of the file that we're going to edit. And the file we're going to edit is smb.config. Now you can copy this. We'll put another space here. You can copy this. And paste it. And then we're going to change the name just by adding more letters on the end. ORG original. Now if we go back to our list, we have another file. Now the reason why we did this is because then we have the original file the way it was, in case we mess this up. Okay, this is the editor. The mouse cursor can't put the cursor anywhere. It has to be the arrow keys or page up and down. You have down here, you have work group. If you put a pound sign in front of it, it makes it a comment. Now, a work group with a pound sign in front of it will not be used by Samba. But when you do this with Samba, it assumes that the work group's name is work group. You can, at this point, change this name to anything you want, but it has to be the work group that you're on your network. Keep going down here. This is your printers. I'm going to go above the printers. GUEST. This is the name you're going to see on the host computer. So when in Windows, we're going to have to put this name in order to access this share. Now the name can be different from the name of where we're going to get it from. In our case, it's not going to be. What we're going to do is we're going to go back here. Double click on guest. We're in the guest directory. Click up here and then copy this right out of here. And we can copy this in just like we did with the terminal. Get rid of that slash. Next line. We're going to put read only equals, what's the opposite of read only? Write. So we're going to put no. That means that this share is writable. We can write to it. Then the next thing that we're going to do, this can be in any order, but it's top down. So if we could actually go up here if we had another share above this in the file, has to be above it, we could put copy equals, and then the name of the other share. Now we don't have one that's named name or anything like that, so we can't use that. So we're just going to comment that out. And then anything below that line would be changed different than the other share. It's one of the interesting things that Samba can do. So read only no. Keep in mind, copy's not being used because there's a pound sign there. Read only no. We're going to go guest. I'll let anybody in. Guest okay. Equals. Yes. Browsable. Equals. Yes. Now if we put no here, we can't see it in our share. So it's yes. So we can see it. Create mask. equals, make this wide open. Now what this is going to do is anything that's created in that share will have full privileges. It's not necessarily a good idea. But it really doesn't matter too much on a guest share. Okay, so this part is done. Now if we go all the way to the top, I'm using the roller on the mouse to do this. We go all the way to the top. We go right in, let's see if we can find this. Right here, this note right here. If we look at this right here, this is test par. We can go copy. We're going to use this. This is whenever you modify this file, you should run this command test parm to check that you have not made any basic errors. Okay, in order to write this, up here it says modified. I guess off to the side a little bit. See, it says modified. So this up arrow right here is control and O. So write out. So we go control O, hit enter, it writes, and then we're going to exit, control X. Now we're going to use that program in order to see if our syntax is correct. Really, that's all it's going to check is the syntax of the file. So if I shift control down and hit V, hit test parm, everything checked out okay. Now if we hit enter, it'll give us our shares. It'll show us our shares. We also hit control C and just skip this part. And there's the share that we put in. Now what we really need to do, I hardly ever run this program, but what we need to do is we need to restart the service. Service Samba, and we'll just restart. And sometimes it'll work, and sometimes it won't without restarting it, but it should always work after you restart it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Windows, and this is going to fail, where this guest directory is not going to work, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you why. Back in Windows, go here, do a right click and add the network location. Click next, select this if it isn't selected already. 2 backslashes. The name of the computer. The share, and this one came up automatically. So I just click on it, click next. This is the full name of the share. We can edit this if we want. We're just going to leave it the way it is for right now. Open. Just do a directory. See, it won't work. Now this is very common. What the problem with this is permissions. So we're going to go back to Linux and we'll show you how to fix this. Okay, back in Linux, go back one. Do a right click on the guest. Go all the way down to properties. This shouldn't have been made in root. No, it wasn't. So we go up to permissions and others is read only. So they can read anything that you put into it, but they can't write to it. So we're going to put read write. And we're going to go yes. We want recursively. That means any directories inside this directory is going to be changed. There are none at this point. Just hit yes. Close this out. We're back in Windows. And we're going to do a directory again. So a new directory. There it is. We can name this directory anything we want. We can go into the directory, put a document in here, In Linux, go into the guest directory as my directory, as my document. We can edit this. Save it. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is how to make another share. This time, the share that we're going to make is going to be password protected. So I'll go back into our configuration file and go down to our guest file. Let's do this first. Call it mine. Okay, we can either use the copy guest or we can copy the whole thing like this, copy, and then now we need to place the cursor because any place that cursor is at, that's where it's going to put it. And it's going to come up with a warning. Control Shift V, here's the warning. And it's just saying that this could be executable. Okay, so now we have the same exact thing down. We go back up here and we change this to something else. Let's see, what do we name it? Mine, M-I-N-E. Like, this can be anything. Say, let's change it to my files. Now, this can't be. This has to be what we put in. So we go over here, copy this out. We go move the cursor. Read only no. We're going to get rid of guest. Browsable. Now, what we need to do is put a user in. We're going to do that with valid user. Valid user equals. Now, the user that we're going to use, pop this up real quick. So the account that we're in right now is basic. This is the user that we're going to use. The name of the computer is basic. You don't have to put them both the same, but in this computer it is. So we can copy this right out of here. Get rid of that. Paste it in. Now we got it done. This share is password protected, but it still doesn't work yet. What we got to do is make a Samba account. And we can only make a Samba account with an account that already exists. We can't make it with a new account that doesn't exist yet. So that's why we put basic in the valid user section. So in order to do that, we need to do SMB PASSWD -A. This is for a new user. And if you use it on a user that you already have, it'll just allow you to change the password. Okay, password. This password can be anything you want. So we're just going to make it real simple. And I'm going to ask you again to do it again. And your user's been added. Now it'll work. Except for one thing. We need to restart the service. Okay, back in Windows, we're going to do the same thing we did with the guest share. So put that down. Right click. Add network. 2 slashes, the name of the computer, basic, the name of the share, all right, password. I would recommend credentials. Remember credentials. And looks like we're going to go in. And we're in. So now we can add anything we want. There you go. So now you have 2 shares. Go back up one. We have one that we need a password to get into. And we got one that anybody can get into that's on the network. Now there is one other thing that we can do is if we wanted to add more users, we need to add a user to the computer. What I'm going to do is there's add user and user add. And they both have different parameters. What we're going to use is add user. And another thing that's in Linux is what's called man files or manual files. So we're going to go man add user. We're going to drop down to options down here. Put the option disable login. And take this right here. Disable login. Copy that out. Hit the Q, gets us out of the man file. We can use the up arrow, hit home, delete that, and hold the control and shift down, V, and then we put on new user. So whatever we want to put, I'll just put new user. Oh, wait a minute. I'll put admin in. Now there's something that's really interesting about admin. On a physical computer, if somebody's going to be knocking at your door, they're going to a lot of times pick admin. So hit that. Oh, we already have admin on here. Sorry about that. That's how you do it though. Let's do another user. Admin 2. We'll just add a 2 to it. You can put the full name like Frank. That's the name of the guy that actually uses this. You don't have to put anything in it if you want. You can put his room number, his room 22 or whatever. Put his phone number in, or not NA at all. Home phone, other. This is a throwback from Unix. That's why it's doing that. And yes or no. If you put no in, it'll let you do it again. So just say yes, and we made a user. What this does, this particular user can't log in. Close the window. Just close everything out here because I'm going to show you what it does. Now remember how I set up the share? The share that has the password on it? Let's just open up a terminal a second here. Now it said valid user equals basic, comma, and then you can put add. You can add it like that to that file, that configuration file, or you can add it just like I did with the basic. You can add it like that. to the configuration file. You can't do it in the command line. I'm just showing you. Control C, command line, cat, Samba, right here. Put the new user right here, and then it'll be his file, where you put a comma and the user's name. You can do as many as you want, and it will be their file, and only they can get into it. Close out the rest of this stuff right here. Close out the rest of this. And we're going to go for a new user. And this will be the same as if you rebooted it. Password for basic. Well, we know what the password basic is, but we got Frank. Frank is the admin 2 user. Remember, we put that name in. So then if we put no password in at all, it's going to error. And we can put anything in we want. It'll still error. So instead of putting Frank in when we put the name in, if we put admin, it would show up admin right here. And you can knock at this door as long as you want, but you're not getting in. Okay, that's how you do a Samba share that can be seen in Windows. Close out of here, and we'll go back into here and go this PC, and this is where our shares are at. The basic share, and we got my files down here. That's how I set up Samba shares on Linux to be able to transfer files between computers. If you like this video, then click like. And I thank you for watching my video.